Hi, welcome to Virtual Pig Dissection. I've missed you, your pig has missed you, and you may notice a distinct smell coming off of your pigs when you get started here. So let's go through the top part. We're going to try to do the pig muscles virtually and see how well you do. You can email me questions while you're watching the video, but you can look at the video, of course, and see what's going on. So we'll start back as kind of a review at the top. So remember, we originally found the sternohyoid, which was running from the sternum to the hyoid, and I think most of you managed to find the split between the two bands. We cleaned it up so you could raise the bands for the sternohyoid, which then, as we were skimming fascia, remember to skim fascia, you're going just under the surface of the fascia and making a tunnel to cut that. We're not trying to cut any of those muscles off. And then down in the side, you guys should have the sternomastoid muscle that runs down from the sternum, and you were able to run your probe along the side till it reached the head. So we have the sternohyoid and the sternomastoid that popped out beside it once we cleaned up that side muscle. Then as we were moving on, we found the triceps heads. So we had the triceps brachii long head, which is the triangle from the elbow. And then we got under the triceps brachii lateral head, which we were defining that outer edge of that so that we could run our probe underneath, and that went from the elbow to the humerus. Underneath the arm, above our long head, we found the medial head, which we can take our probe through the top half of the long head so that we can expose the medial head running again from the elbow back, since all three of those triceps heads work together. And remember, it runs back underneath the arteries and veins that we didn't want to destroy. Up above, in the top corner of the underarm, we had the biceps brachii, and that we only split off. So you had the top part of the biceps brachii teardrop, and then the bottom part of the biceps brachii, but you don't get under those. Remember, those are just simply for you to locate up at the surface. So again, those are the biceps brachii. There's the triceps brachii medial head, the bottom of the long head, the top of the long head, and then the lateral head. I had you look for the two deltoid muscles next. And if you remember, there's a hump here on the top of the scapula that we are not removing fascia from, so you want to stay in front of that. The acromyodeltoid is really small and up underneath the flap of fascia and sits on the front of the shoulder. The spinodeltoid comes from the spine of the scapula that we're avoiding, and so you just make basically a little pocket in the fascia so that you can kind of expose the top of the spinodeltoid and then peek underneath and try to separate down the acromyodeltoid, which is that tiny little slip of muscle right here tucked underneath. A lot of you have already done the brachiocephalic, but brachium means the arm, so the brachiocephalic was under a band of muscles that was sitting here across the neck. So in order to expose it, what we did, or what you may still need to do, is to remove the muscle mass that's up here on top of the shoulder. We did that the same way as you were skinning. We made a little tunnel so that you can see this muscle right here, the start of it on the shoulder, and we just made a tunnel under the muscle above it, and then we cut through the middle of that muscle to expose what was underneath, which is this band that's underneath that area. And so once you've cut the tunnel of muscle that was sitting on top up here, you let it flap open, and then you can remove so you can see the edges of this brachiocephalic muscle. It will get wider as it comes up to the skull for the cephalic portion of it. It may even have a damaged spot. Well, it's not really damaged, but a rip where it hadn't fully formed in the middle, so be careful as you're coming up to the head. But you want to clean it up so you at least can run underneath this middle band. But again, it has muscle on top of it, so you're going to skim underneath the muscle, cut that tunnel right through the middle, just making sure that you are protecting that muscle underneath, and then you'll expose this band underneath it, and that is the brachiocephalic muscle. The other one that was up here at the top is the spinotrapezius. So we're back here at that spine of the scapula. We're not going to take any muscle off the spine of the scapula, but what we do to find the spinotrapezius is we're just finding the outside edge because it's coming off of the spines of the thoracic vertebrae up there at the top. So we're just going to lift the top edge of it. So the easiest way for me to have you do this is if you put your finger on that spine of the scapula, lay your probe against that hump at an angle, working your way back so you can see it there in the video, and then you simply take and skim up some of the fascia to lift this flap up. So you're not taking any fascia off the back, but you're trying to remove some of the fascia along this front edge, and that way you can see where this little guy lifts right up the front. Again, if you mess this up, you can pull the skin off on the other side and try it again. Okay, so the last muscle you have at the top to do is the pectoralis major. And I have, remember, destroyed, well, while we're here, you did have the latissimus dorsi that I found for you guys when you were getting your armpit done at the first, so that your latissimus dorsi is right here, but that one we did together, so it's a reminder that it's here. So your pectoralis major muscle was coming off of the sternum to the humerus, so basically what you need to do is on your far side, you're going to peel back the skin off of the chest like we had already done to start with. And you could use your scalpel and make an incision, or just use your scissors like I did and expose the muscle band that's going across the chest here. Remember, push down with your thumb, pull up with your fingers. Cut off that extra skin. And you should be able to see, of course, remember bacon's little, but you should be able to see that band of fibers coming across the top of your chest. There's no fascia removal there. It is straight under the skin that's there. Then you're going to poke a hole at the bottom of the pectoralis major where you can see that it's fascia, just like I did when I made you an armpit. So all I did was widen up that little hole where I know the fibers are done at the bottom. I'm going to take my probe underneath that muscle mass, and I'm going to run it to the top, and I'm just going to poke a hole at the top of the fibers so that I have a place where I can show you that I am underneath the muscle. And so that's the pectoralis major. It's a very simple one for y'all to find. Should not be easily destroyed unless you start trying to take off fascia. Please do not remove any fascia. You're just breaking a hole at the bottom fascia. You're going to poke a hole at the top to come out at the surface. So again, those are your top muscles. I will do a second video showing you the bottom half of the pig.